Well, thank you very much, Leslie. Very charming introduction, but very well thought out words. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know it's very difficult to get top flight political speakers at these things. If you'd have wanted Theresa May, I understand it's a 2-year waiting list. Philip Hammond's a year. So when Leslie called me yesterday morning, I was very pleased to accept the invitation to speak here tonight. But seriously, the reason I am here is because of the esteem which the department holds the SEA. Because when I started the job as Energy Minister, I was told there was quite a long list of different trade bodies and organisations that they loosely call in governmental terms stakeholders. Stakeholders can mean anything, but I quickly learned there was a very small list within that list of very serious stakeholders. Actually people that don't always agree with us, but construct intelligently at all levels. Now that doesn't mean, just as Leslie has done her job very professionally, they come and see the new minister and they go through lines which you know anyway because the officials are there and they told you before. But it means taking part at proper working level, something which the department and the management, if you like, of associations have. And that's a proper, where they don't mind confiding each other, each side, if we can use the word side, knows their problems of each other. And it's been very constructive. And you should take a lot of credit, Leslie. They talk about the clean growth strategy, which is one of our flagship policies. David Cameron and Theresa May and everyone onwards has been very much behind it. But it isn't just a political slogan. The mechanics of it have very much come about because of input that the SEA and other people actually in this room have actually contributed towards it. Because for us, we have, I believe, politically bridged the gap from a belief that the environment itself was a good thing to protect, and most people accept the arguments about carbon and greenhouse gases and things generally. But the general view, I think, was, well, it doesn't affect us much. I can do a few nice cuddly things like, sort out my rubbish and get a smaller car and that sort of thing. But it was never really, probably with the exception of you, John, and the way that you've thought ahead of everybody else in this, you'll be hearing from Lord Devon in a minute. But it was not, I don't mean it was regarded in a crackpot way, but it wasn't regarded as a serious part of the economic growth of this country. In fact, many people believed that it was incompatible with a strategy of expanding the economy and finding employment and better jobs and skills and everything else. And I believe a combination of the clean growth strategy and our general industrial strategy, which you mentioned, Leslie, have really achieved that. Because we've shown that in sectors that are very much in a carbon-free environment, actually are leading to reduced costs. It always used to be thought of just increased costs for the sake of it. I first had a view of anything like this when I went in Watford to visit the BRE in my constituency, as it was then the Building Research Establishment, and saw the street of houses. I remember Barracks did one and others, which obviously cost a lot of money because they were just built as a one-off. But when we could see, even then, before we thought of smart meters and everything else that's now being implemented, we could see the way that there was a way that an individual property could actually contribute to the grid. Of course, if you were having triple glazed glass and bring them from Scandinavia for one unit, and that, of course it was extremely expensive. But when I spoke to the house builders, and they said that they believed in volume production, the build cost would be less than 20% more than conventional build costs, I began to take it seriously. Well, now that has become very much part of government strategy for selfish, not just for the carbon agenda, not just for the clean growth agenda, because it's part of the skilled economy, it's part of just this industrial revolution that's happening in front of us. And recently I was very privileged to go to Worcester Bosch in Worcester to see the way that some of these new boilers are being built. I actually went on an apprenticeship visit because I was very much involved in the government's apprenticeship programme, but again it shows skills and training. And I've seen in my own constituency, Beko, the European distribution of Beko is there. I've seen the washing machine of the future. I've seen other white goods of the future, and it's all got technology which will link in with smart meters and link in with people being aware of precisely what's going on in their own property. And this, I know, is very much in the middle of what you do, Leslie, and it's very credible to you that this organisation includes so many different types of organisations at different ends of the supply chain, which is unusual, because a lot of trade bodies and other associations we deal with are much narrower, which means that we have to deal with people in different sectors, and your organisation is very unique in that. So, ladies and gentlemen, for me, all I can do is cringe with embarrassment at the fact that you've walked into, well, I've seen warmer fridges than it is here. And the sponsors in the future should be asked not just to sponsor the drinking canapé, but to bring in some temporary form of sustainable heating. But frankly, I think we'd all accept a bit of carbon tonight. In fact, please don't set fire to the furniture in the tent. And I know that's where everyone's huddled up that way. Well, maybe if the House of Commons and the House of Lords is rebuilt in the way they're saying, they might actually consider having some rooms with heating, or I don't know from what source. But seriously, ladies and gentlemen, I'm holding you from your drink and your canapes, and it's a great pleasure for me to be here, and with members of Parliament who are here from, well, all sides of the House, and indeed Representative Star Speaker from the House of Lords. So I think you've heard enough from me, and just say thank you very much for having me, and I wish you all a happy Christmas, happy New Year, and a great year ahead. Thank you, Leslie.